Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Princess, SoundCloud. It's your boy, Town 202. Don't forget to check out my album. Just Google it. It's called Just Right There. Some instrumentals, some songs. Anyway, it's another excerpt of where I left Atlanta. I got my Atlanta colors on for you guys. Just so you guys know, I'm not hating on Atlanta. I'm just, you know, I just can't see myself living there. You know, some of my fam lives down there. It's harder living down there. But I just talk about my experiences, and I lived down there a long time ago. So, but I just talk about my experiences, and let that be the reason. I did see Keith Sweat down there. But okay, so I talked about this a little bit in my last why I left Atlanta. My job situation. I'm sorry, my job situation. But I want to talk about traveling. Now I see that a lot of people are posting. I went to Atlanta, and they had a vehicle. Yada yada yada. I did not have a vehicle. I didn't. I went to Atlanta without a vehicle, and I did not know what to expect, but I know it's a major metropolitan. I didn't even have a job when I got down there, so I worked for a temporary service, and that ended up being my undoing. Because I had two jobs with the same temporary service, and when I got fired from one, they immediately fired me from the other one. I worked in a museum and in a hospital. However, going back and forth to wherever I needed to go because I lived in the inner city, you really don't need a car. Now, I know it's cool to have one and, you get around better, so on and so forth. But being at, the places where I worked at was all on a bus line. I have to say this, Atlanta's bus system, to me, uh, is better than where I live at now. It's a bigger city. It's a the bus drivers are not friendly at all. But nonetheless, you don't really care. You just want to pay your fare and go to where you're going. And I have to admit that when I was there, the bus system was very, very good. Uh, so what I did was I rode a bike. Like I said, I mentioned this in my other video a little bit. I had a bike that I brought from where I live now, and I went down there and then I came back. I had a bike I bought from Target, so it cost me like 150 bucks or whatever. And then stuff will go wrong with it. I take it back to the Target, in Atlanta, and I had to replace it 3 times. It just kept going wrong, and they was like, "You can't replace it anymore." But when I tell you I got my use out of that doggone bike, I ended up giving it to my neighbors. I don't know what they did with it. They moved. I don't know if they threw it away or not. But I rode that bike. I had this leather coat, and and during the winter I had my leather coat on with a scarf and tie a scarf around me. And I rode that bike every freaking where I wanted to go. If I wanted to go to Buckhead Mall or whatever that fancy mall is, I rode my bike. Rode my bike there, locked it up. When I went to the movies, I just ride down the street to them because the mall was right there. I just ride down the street to the mall, lock my bike up, go right on in there. And I think it was Peachtree Mall or whatever. And go right on in there because I didn't live far from there. Sometimes I just walked down there because they had a comic book store down there that I would frequent, and because they had some really, really, really great comic books, and I was like addicted to the comic books back then. I still got a bunch of them laying over there. See them over there. But so that's what I did. I rode my bike everywhere, man. Wherever I wanted to go, I'd look at the bus route. Not unless I was going to go to work. I didn't ride my bike to work because I had to dress up a little bit. But the buses would let me ride off at my jobs, the museum, boom, And, yeah, so, a lot of people move there with a family, but for you single people, you don't have a vehicle and you're thinking about, running around in Atlanta, if you're living in the inner city or around there, and you don't have to scratch for a vehicle, listen. If you got a good plan to go to the ATL, if you got a good plan where you might even have family. I lived with my sister for a short time, and then I lived on my own. You either got family down there, friends down there. You got some type of income, some kind of way. One person said, they make their money on the internet, but they live in Atlanta, and I'm like, that's cool because anywhere you go, your money is your. You know what I'm saying? Uh, that's dope. This wasn't popping when I was down there. So, nonetheless, I'm just saying for you guys, meaning everyone, man and woman, you don't need a vehicle. You don't need a vehicle, but if your job requires you to have some little dress up, you might not want to do that. But if you got one of those jobs where, you working at Mickey D's or whatever, or you just don't have to dress up, I'm telling you to get yourself, a half decent bike with a nice lock. You know what I'm saying? A good seat. Even in the winter, I was listening all year round. I just didn't get in the car unless my sister took me somewhere, and that was only to the club. I just was on my bike the whole time. So, things of course have changed. Things are a lot more aggressive down there now, but, all I'm saying is in the inner city, the bus system gets you around real good. So you take your bike, you put it on the front of the bus, go to where you're going, get let off, grab your bike off the front of it. Matter of fact, that's the first city I saw that in. When I got back to where I'm at now, then I saw it again. Now, out here, it's not advantageous for you to just have a bike. You need to have a car because the bus systems on the outskirts, when I run on the outskirts, the city only run twice a day. You know what I'm saying? So it's two buses going up in the morning, two buses coming back at night, and that's at like 5, 6 o'clock. After that, you're not getting into the outer parts, the outer belt. You can forget that. It's just not happening. So Atlanta's a different story. Not unless you live way out, like, way out there. Then, yeah, 45 minutes. Yeah. But still, even that, from one part of the city to the other, you could ride a good 45 minutes to almost an hour, and you'll still be in a good bus system. And, yeah. So, I know this is why I left Atlanta, but that was one of the things that I really, really did like about Atlanta. And my next video, I think I'll do on 5 Points. I'll tell y'all some stories about, being down at 5 Points. So all these, this isn't all bad, but once I lost my jobs, then I had to get out of Atlanta. I couldn't afford there. Anyway, God bless. Your boy Tone 202.